that ball and crashed. We should have won that game. But it's not over. There's still a championship on the line. I'm coming back next game, and I'm going to play the game of my life.
Next game? I'm not so sure it'll heal in time.
Grandpa, look. I can run. Oh.
Nathan, are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
Nathan, you have to be patient. Like those fruits over there. If you do not give them time to...
Oh, this is disgusting.
It's not disgusting. It's just not its time yet.
When will it be its time?
I think it's time for a story.
Do you carry that book with you all the time?
I have a few copies. A Jewish man named Wits and a German man named Fritz had met on the road and decided to travel together. They were two hungry hobos, without homes and without jobs. To make a living, they would go from place to place, begging a little food here and a little money there. One day, Fritz said, "Oh, how I wish that for once I could have a really good meal. Not just a dried-out slice of bread or some leftovers, but a big, delicious feast that would leave me feeling not even the least bit hungry. Ah, how good that would be." "You could say that again," agreed Wits, who, like Fritz, couldn't remember the last time he had a proper meal.
Oh, I don't think that fruit was good for me.
Hey, I've got a great idea, he cried. Soon it will be the Jewish holiday of Pesach, and Jews always invite guests to the Pesach Seder. We can get ourselves invited somewhere, and then I'm sure we'll be served a really fine meal. Oh, that will work out fine for you, but I'm not Jewish. I wouldn't know what to do. Don't worry. You speak German, which is very close to Yiddish, the language the Jews of this country speak. And I'll explain everything to you about the Seder, so you'll know exactly how to act. I hope you're right. Tell me, just what is it that happens at a Seder? Well, first they make Kiddush. That's a blessing, they say, over some sweet wine. Wits began. Then they wash their hands and eat some karpas, dipped in salt water. After that, they start reading the story of how God saved them from slavery, from a book called a Haggadah. Then they serve the most wonderful food you can imagine. It makes my mouth water just thinking about it. First comes the matzah. That's the special unleavened bread Jews eat on Pesach. It's sort of like a crunchy cracker. Then they serve hard-boiled eggs, delicious gefilte fish, golden chicken soup, tender chicken dripping with sauce. And that's not all. For dessert, they'll give us cooked apples and raisins, fluffy sponge cake, and to wash everything down, hot tea with lemon and sugar. What a feast! Fritz, you've never tasted anything so marvelous in your whole life. The thought of all these delicious foods made Wits forget to tell Fritz about one important thing. Something not at all tasty or sweet. That at the Seder, Jews also eat maror, the bitter herb.
Maror? I hate maror.
When Pesach finally arrived, Wits and Fritz were all excited. They were also very hungry because they hadn't had anything to eat all that day. In the evening, they hurried to the synagogue. After the services, each of them was invited to the home of a different family for the Seder. We're really in luck tonight. We've both been invited by rich families. I by Reb Baruch, and you by Reb Mendel. Fritz, you're in for a real feast. Just remember everything I told you, and relax. Enjoy your meal. Fritz nodded and smiled, thinking about all the delicious foods Wits had described to him. After a short walk, Fritz and his host, Reb Mendel, arrived at the house. Taking his place at the beautifully set table, Fritz looked around at everything with great interest. He tried to make the family think that he knew what was going on, just as Wits had explained. Reb Mendel began by making Kiddush.
Savri Maranan.
Fritz drank a little of the wine. It tasted good, but Fritz was afraid to drink too much on an empty stomach, and so he waited to see what would happen next. Fritz did not have long to wait. Water was brought and they washed their hands. Then Reb Mendel gave everyone at the table a small piece of karpas dipped in salt water. Fritz gobbled it up, but the piece was so small that it did not satisfy him at all. After that, everyone began reading from the book Wits had called the Haggadah. It was written in Hebrew, and Fritz couldn't understand a word of it. After half an hour, Fritz began wriggling in his chair, feeling very bored and frustrated. He looked around, but no one else at the table seemed to be in any rush. They just kept reading from that Haggadah. Another hour had passed. Fritz's stomach had begun to growl. He was starving. Where was that wonderful meal he had been promised? Finally, all the family members and guests got up to wash their hands a second time. After returning to the table, Reb Mendel recited a couple of blessings and then gave out pieces of matzah. This was more like it. Fritz was given a nice big crunchy piece, which he quickly swallowed. He was beginning to feel a little happier. Maybe now they would start to serve that tasty meal Wits had told him about. He had been waiting and waiting for it. But instead, what's this? Reb Mendel handed him a piece of horseradish from Maror. Fritz puts it into his mouth and began to chew. Oh! He shrieked as his face turned a bright red. The horseradish was very bitter, and it burned his tongue and throat. Fritz felt his head begin to spin. This is madness. Will they ever serve food? Fritz was so upset and disappointed that he jumped up. To everyone's amazement, ran from the house without looking back.
Oh, he was so close!
Those crazy people. After all that sitting and waiting, that's all they gave me to eat? Fritz woozily made his way back to the synagogue, where he and Wits had agreed to meet after the Seder. So Fritz, still very hungry and miserable, curled up on a wooden bench and fell asleep. A few hours later, Wits arrived, smiling and feeling very full after a delicious meal. So, how was it? How did you enjoy the Seder? He asked Fritz. Enjoy the Seder? You've got to be kidding. I was never so disappointed in my life. You told me about all those great foods they were going to serve. Well, all I got was some wine, a small bite of a cucumber, a piece of that matzah, and a horrible bitter vegetable that burned my mouth like fire. That's what you call a big delicious meal? Oh, Fritz, if only you had been patient enough to wait just a little longer. Then you would have had a meal as wonderful as the meal I just ate.
That was a funny story. And a bit sad, too.
Why do you think that?
If only Fritz was more patient. He was very hungry.
I know someone else who could use a bit of patience.
Who? Me?
Yes, you. Your ankle needs time to heal. And for that, you need to learn to be patient.
Okay, so I'll wait a bit, then go back to playing?
Patience isn't just about waiting. It's about what you gain while you wait. Strength, wisdom, ripe fruits, and a little more compassion. For yourself and for others.
You're probably right, Grandpa. Maybe I do need to be more patient and let my ankle heal.